Still playing commercials. Meanwhile, here's another hit.
Well, maybe, as long as you turn the mic on, great, you got to get it underway. Nice to have everybody joining us, and glad to have you guys back again. Let me do this. That's right, you're right here at Galaxy 107 FM, and well, today, believe me, I'm absolutely elated by this, because it just seems to be that we don't get through a breakfast show these days without playing Animal Souls. Believe me, we've got them on the charts, and that's how the charts are made here at Galaxy, literally on requests of not only bands, but particular songs, and we're seeming to play a lot of Animal Souls just lately. We'll cover that very, very shortly, but first of all, let me tell you how happy we are to have you joining us here at Galaxy. I want to just turn down the gain a little bit, thank you, and at the same time, if you're going to join us a little later on over on YouTube, you know what to do, right? No, you do, seriously. Sub, thumb, bell, bingo. Bell for notifications when we have important people, much like our artist Mike coming out of the band Animal Souls today. Believe me, I hope he doesn't mind me calling him Mike too, by the way. And having said that, let me tell you how happy we are to be in association with Rise Up TV, Big Records, Sony Music, The Orchard, here with Galaxy.
Another indie artist interview brought to you by Galaxy 107 FM in association with Rise Up TV, Big Record, and Sony Music The Orchard.
So we're going to get right into it, and of course we're going to go to the desk and meet Michael very, very shortly, but first of all, let's kick it off. Here's Lessons in Love, Animal Souls. That gives us a moment or two to get to know each other.
There we go. Yeah. Thanks, Grant.
Oh, absolute pleasure, my friend. It really is.
Like the ponytail.
yeah, I like yours too.
I just cut like a foot off mine about 3 weeks ago.
Gosh, really?
Yeah.
Why would you attack your follicles like that?
I don't know. It gets too hot, sweaty.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Humping all the gear around, you know. So.
What actually do you do?
That's a good question. I'm kind of a jack of all trades. So I worked with Live Nation for about 27 years up until 2021. That was a real job. I was like a web production guy.
Okay.
And when COVID hit, they packaged me out, and I decided at that point, so that's about 2 years ago almost, I decided I was going to focus on my music, because I've been around for a while, Grant. So over the years, I've been, writing music, playing in bands, cover bands, original bands, you name it. And I just decided that I had all these songs that I had, hadn't really had an opportunity to record and release and all of that. It's awfully hard to put a band of, people together and especially when there's one songwriter in the group, and to keep the focus of the other players on it. So I decided what I would do is I would try a collective style of project. So over the years, I in playing in bands, and I do live sound engineering as well too. So I've met a lot of great musicians, and have become friends with many of them over the years. And so I just had all these songs, and I asked them if they would come into the studio and put their stamp on my songs. And so I produce the records, but when they come into the studio, I kind of give them like a basic chord structure. Here's how the song is going to flow. This is the tempo. But use your creativity to bring your part to the music, and that's really what's happened over the last couple of years. I've been in the studio constantly for the last 2 years and doing this, so it's been wonderful.
I'm jealous.
That's right.
I'm jealous. I've got to be honest with you. I'm an engineer. I've been an engineer for about 37 years.
Okay.
And I haven't been inside a decent studio now for about 4 years, I've got to be honest. So,
Okay.
yeah, I'm hanging out to go back to work. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm actually going into the studio tonight. I'm working on a new track with a female vocalist in the UK. Her name is Alison Cowie. And
Alison
so that,
Cowie.
you know Alison from Project Alice?
I think that name sounds familiar.
Yeah, so she's got a great kind of Marianne Faithfull sort of vibe to her vocal. And so I sent her a music track that I had written, just kind of a demo thing, and I asked her if she would want to, write some lyrics and sing the song. Almost the next day or the day after that, she sent me back a demo with her vocals on it, the song completely written, and ready to go.
Brilliant.
So now I've started the process of, just did the drums. I'm going in tonight to do the bass track, and then hopefully within the next couple of weeks I'll have the song ready for her to put the real vocals on top of it.
Very
So
cool.
it's good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool. Mike, we're going to have to cut in there because we're going to go live to the desk, my friend. Let's have some fun.
Galaxy.
That's right, you're right here at Galaxy 107 FM, and today I've been absolutely waiting for this one. I really, really have, because believe me, I'm a big fan. I've got to be honest with you, I really am. Animal Souls coming out of Abbotsford and joining us, and believe me, this is a fantastic band. It really, really is. We're talking to Mike, of course. Originally, Mike is from Burlington, Ontario, but now making his residence in Abbotsford. Of course, that's where they had the floods last year. Yeah, I knew there was something very, very familiar about that. Welcome to Galaxy, Mike.
Thanks, Grant. Thanks, Bart.
Well, I hope you don't mind me calling you Mike.
You can call me Michael. You can call me Mike. You can call me whatever you want.
Yeah, just not late for dinner, right?
That's right.
We've got to be on time for that. Animal Souls, my friend, where did you come up with the name for that?
I knew you were going to ask me that question. So we were talking on the break there while everybody was listening to that great track. I've been kind of a jack of all trades in music, and about 30, 40 years ago, I wrote some poetry, and one of the poems was titled Animal Souls, and I can't read you the poem right now. Maybe I'll send it to you sometime. But I just had this thought. One day I'm going to have my own band. I'm going to play and record my own music, and the band's going to be called Animal Souls. So I kept that sort of idea with me for all this time, and then finally when I had the opportunity to record some of my music, I said, that's it. I'm going to call the band Animal Souls. So here we are.
Absolutely fantastic. I love the name. I got to be honest. And if we're going to start, good place to start, I think.
Yeah.
At the same time, Michael, let me tell you, I got to welcome along Jason Cordwell, who's watching us this morning. Kate Fox is in there. Franco Nanichi. Now, Franco, you're in India right now. Jealous. Very jealous. Nick Plews is watching, of course, coming out of Leicester and UK. Also, Donnie Coulter. Good friend of ours, Donnie Coulter, and Paul Harkins, again from the Heartland Roots Band, coming out of the UK, and Michael King is watching us as well. Got it right this time, Mike. And also, Donnie says was in Burlington yesterday, so,
He was?
Yeah, he was. He might have missed you.
Oh, I was actually supposed to be there this past week as well. My good friend Marshall Potts. You probably heard of Marshall Potts' music. Right?
Yeah, no, we know Marshall Potts.
Yeah. So Marshall is a good friend of mine. We rehearse at the same studio out here in Abbotsford, and I was going to go do front of house for them at this show they just did in Burlington on the 28th. It was they opened for a band called The Spoons. Did you ever hear of a band out of Burlington called The Spoons?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and of course, I grew up in Burlington, and my mom still lives there. And I had told her a month ago, yeah, I'm going to go out there with Marshall's band, and we're going to be playing. They're going to be playing at the local theater there. So I got my mom all excited about that, but then I had to cancel out, unfortunately, and then I had to tell my mom I wasn't coming home. So, but yeah, Burlington is a interesting place to grow up, for sure.
Well, Donnie says he lives in Simcoe, Ontario.
Simcoe. There you go. Simcoe, yeah.
There you go. At the same time, Donnie is a very, very talented man in his own right with a really great band. He really, really is. Having said that, we opened up the show, my friend, with Lessons of Love.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about it.
The song. Okay, that's a good story. I'm going to start with the singer, Mara Hacklin is her name. Just a brilliant vocalist. I had actually asked her to come in and do backups for that song. And as it turned out, I ended up asking her to also do the lead parts. So she's doing all of the vocals on that song. Her dad, Les, is a brilliant flautist, so he plays the flute on that track as well. The song itself, I wrote it probably around 1989, 1990. It was kind of a stoner jam I did with a buddy of mine when I was living in Vancouver out here. He played flute, and I played a little bit of classical guitar and bass and did some programmed drums on it. Anyways, so I programmed the drums, put on a scratch bass track, and then invited him over to my apartment, and I played guitar and he played flute on it, and the song went on for like 8 or 9 minutes. And when I was putting together a sort of a production plan to record all this music in the last 2 years, I wanted to redo that song, but I didn't have any lyrics for it. So I think I drank a 6-pack of Guinness or a 4-pack of Guinness one night, had the lyrics all done. Excuse me, and then started recording the track, and then had Mara come in and do the vocals, and I'm so proud of that song, so proud of the track. Yeah.
Now, and believe me, I love that track myself. Now, let me take you down the process here, Mike. Even though Barbara has been dealing with you prior to doing the interview, there is a process. Now, when Barbara first gets the music, she bets out a lot. Believe me, we get a huge amount.
Yeah.
I don't know how Barbara does it. She gets untold bands every day wanting to do the interviews, wanting us to promote their music, the whole enchilada, if you know what I mean. So she's got to cut down through that, and then it's got to be presentable to our board. Now, any given board meeting could be 8 or 12 members, and their one thing literally is our image. It's got to be good.
Right.
You know what I mean? If it ain't good, it ain't getting any further, literally. Then it goes back to Barbara. Barbara takes it to production. Production and Barbara, scrap it out, literally, because there's only a certain amount of time in the whole week that we can actually do these interviews. So we've got it, how the heck she juggles it, I don't know, but she manages. Then it comes to me in a sort of a USB kind of device that I play in my car. Now, 2 good reasons for that, Michael. First reason is, and believe me, when I play it, I get no information, only the music. I don't get to know who the artist is, what the band name is, what the title of the track is, nothing. Just the music. Now, it's for me to be able to decide whether I want to do an interview on the basis of that music. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I do it in my car simply because I can't be influenced by anybody else's decision or influencing me on, yeah, you should do this. You know what I mean? It's up to me to do. The other reason why I do it in my car is, well, nobody else wants to drive with me.
I thought you were going to say if it sounds good in your car, it's good.
Well, it does. Well, I've got a kick-ass stereo in my car, literally.
There you go, yeah.
And believe me, I find it, a lot of it is actually music to drive fast to. I like that, you know what I mean? And I take my car off-road, literally. It's one of those cars where we're in between 3 major cities, a little sawmilling town of, about 3,000 to 7,000 people, and we have forestry everywhere, literally.
Nice.
So what we do is, well, what I do is I go and find where the keys and the combinations are to the fire breaks and go driving. You know what I mean? Now, this is for real. Barbara's son is a former New Zealand champion car racer. Go sideways. Go sideways. Has done all his life, right? High speed, sideways. Her grandson is a current New Zealand champion and does the exact same thing. Go sideways. Barbara won't get in the car with me. No way. She goes, nah. Those guys are under controlled conditions. You're just loose. She goes, there's no way I'm going to do that. But what I'm pertaining to here, Mike, is, and I've got to be honest with you, Lessons of Love was the very first track that I ever heard of yours. And I literally pulled the car over, set it back to the start, and had another listen. In fact, I'm going to be honest with you, I cracked a cold one at the same time, took in the scenery, and enjoyed your whole 5 submissions of music. I really enjoyed each and every one. Now, I said to you, I'm an engineer. I do studio work as well, but I'm also a front of house engineer.
Okay, yeah.
So therefore, Mike, you might be able to understand this. I don't listen to music like a fan would listen to it. I listen to it as an engineer would listen to it, or a DJ or a sales rep of music.
Sure.
I break it down and try and figure it out. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, I do the same thing. Yeah.
It's habitual, isn't it? Once you start it, you just
yeah.
can't stop. And believe me, I've been doing it for 37 years. So, you know, I have a little ear from time to time, and it's not often. And because I hear bands every day, and so many bands from all around the world, it's not often, Mike, that I hear a band that grabs my imagination. Yours did, all the way through. Each and every track.
Oh, wow.
I wanted to know more and more and more about you, I wanted to know about Anika as well. I really wanted to know how that comes into play. I'm going to ask you that very shortly. And the rest of the band. But believe me, I was fascinated, absolutely fascinated with your work. And I want to know, where are you getting it recorded?
Well, the more recent stuff, Lessons of Love, for example, Midnight Sky, which is the latest release, and the current track that I'm working on with Allison. I'm working with have a co-producer here. His name is Pete Cordalis. He's got a place called Green Room Studios in Abbotsford. And Pete's also a live sound engineer. He's a recording engineer. He's a videographer. He does, his whole house is wired, basically. It's not really for living in, it's for working in his house. And he's got a great sounding room down in the basement where we do all the recording. And so between Pete and I, you know, I have the vision of the, you know, the songs, the instrumentation, that kind of stuff. Pete, and we're both engineers too, so we kind of bounce ideas off each other as we're working on these tracks. And I think we're quite a good team, actually. We put out a couple of good tracks so far. We got, like I said, we have another one coming up soon, I hope. That song's called On My Way. It's going to be completely different from what you've heard so far as well, too, by the way. But yeah, so the recent stuff was recorded with Pete, and that's kind of like that's the sort of the current zone that I'm in now in terms of production. The album Wisdom of Crowds, where I think you said you were going to play Same Thing and True Confessions, that was kind of like a labor of love for me. During the first few months of the COVID outbreak, there's a buddy of mine, Scott Boyes, up here, who has a rehearsal studio. And normally, during good times, there's like 20 or 30 bands that come in and rehearse regularly at this place. The studio was empty for months. So I asked Scott if I could use the space to record an album, a 10-track album, and that's what I did. I recorded it all by myself. I engineered it, produced it. I didn't master it, of course. I won't go anywhere near mastering, but so that was kind of like, that was sort of the start of this whole process of the last 2 years. I just had to kind of get that out of my system, record the songs, and now I feel like I'm getting into some serious production with the later tracks. So.
Well, Mike, I got to let you know, I'm so very, very pleased you have gone down this road. I really, really am, because I can see a talent here, and I can see that you guys are going to be making inroads in the music industry in British Columbia and Canada as a whole, spreading out to the rest of the world, literally. And
I hope so.
believe me, right now we're in every English-speaking country of the world right now. I'll give you stats as we go through. I have a producer who talks to me. You might be able to see me from time to time making funny body gestures.
I do see that.
She from time to time is talking to me as well, if you know what I mean, and giving me bits of information. Like Rosalie from Rosalie from Chatham Islands. Nice to have you on board, Rosalie. She's asking, Mike, how do we get hold of Animal Souls as a fan? Are you on Facebook? Are you on Twitter? Are you on Instagram? Are you a talker? But more importantly, Mike, do you respond?
I do. I mean, because that's all I do now. I don't have a real job anymore, so I spend literally hours every day on social media, on my website, getting ready, doing sort of pre-production stuff at home. And then usually in the evening hours, I'm either doing recording or I'm doing live sound or what have you. But yeah, I'm a good responder. If you want to contact me, I'm at animalsoulsmusic.com on the web. And on Facebook and Instagram, it's at Animal Souls Music. And on Twitter, it's a little different. I had to use a different handle on Twitter. I think it's called Animal Souls MUS1. But you'll find me there. But I mean, the best place to look for me, Grant and Rosalie, is animalsoulsmusic.com.
Very cool. Now, Travis coming out of Pittsburgh is asking, with your .com, do you have a merch store there? Can we buy merch?
Oh, I wish. Yeah. No, not yet. I hope so. I have some ideas for some nice T-shirts and hats and stuff like that, but I'm really and of course I'd like to sell my music on my website, but I haven't quite got around to that yet. I'm still kind of focused on the production aspects at this point. I still have I got to get some stuff out of my system first, and then once I get all of that
I tell you
sorted,
what, tell you what, Mike, when you do get a T-shirt or a cap or anything like that, keep me in mind. I would love to be able. I'd love to be able to promote you. I really would. Today, Anthony Ligori, good friend of ours. Of course, he's our resident Elvis, and there is, believe me, I've just been told, there's 168 countries on board right now from around the world that are listening to this particular interview, and 2,473 cities are right there. I'll give you how many people are logged in online at the end of this. No use giving it to you now because it just grows.
God, really?
As I said, we're going to make you a superstar, unfortunately, Mike, because you're in every English-speaking country of the world. You really are. And we have that much of a follower. It is fantastic. In fact, we call our family, and believe me, all of our fans, and it's not the army. That's ridiculous. We call it the noise because it just grows. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Wow. I'm glad to be part of the noise.
Well, I tell you what, Mike, you should see it when you go out on stage. You go, where's the noise at? It just, the roof just goes. It really does. It's fantastic. I love it. The energy is fantastic.
Well,
Gives me that travelling bug.
oh, there's a good pick right there.
There's a damn good segue, I think. Tell me about Travelling Bug.
It's a funny song. I did the original demo in an apartment that my wife and I used to live in Vancouver. We used to live down in the West End, downtown Vancouver. And it was just a fun number, but I think the inspiration for the song came from just kind of sitting. We were on the fourth floor of like an old brownstone building downtown Vancouver. And sometimes I just used to sit at the table and look out the window and just to kind of see what people were doing. And this tune just started going in my head, and the lyrics just naturally sort of came from that. And so I had this old 4-track studio in the apartment, and that's where I did the original demo. But when it came time to, and again, that was about 30 odd years ago. So a lot of this music that I'm producing, some of it is brand new, but a lot of it is like from days gone by, and just sort of holding on to that dream of one day recording it, and here we are, I'm actually doing it. But when it came time to actually do the serious production on Travelin' Bug, Again, I don't know if I mentioned this, but on my tracks, I have probably over 30 different musicians that have come in and contributed and played on the tracks. And a couple of those 30 appear on this song, Traveling Bug. It's really a three-piece, and then I had a keyboard player come in and add some keyboard parts later. But the guitar player is a guy named Kyler Biller out of Abbotsford, and he's like one of the most sought-after guitar players for session work and for band work up here. So I was so lucky to get him to come in, and when he played that solo, I think I was practically crying as I was tracking it. It was so the outro solo on that song is just incredible. And the drummer is another one of these on-demand guys. Chris Murray Driver is his name, and Chris used to play with Doug and the Slugs back in the day. And he currently plays with a gal named Darby Mills, who used to head the Headpins, used to be the front person for the Headpins years ago. So this guy, Chris, just amazing. He came in one day and he did 3 tracks, just bang, 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 just no fuss, no muss, right? Just a great drummer. So the song is really just... It's a fun track. Actually, the backing vocalist is Jackie, who I don't think you're going to line up Soul Dance for this show, but she sang lead on the song called Soul Dance.
Yeah, unfortunately, we are rather constricted for the amount of time we can only get so many in. Let me tell you, Donnie Coulter, thank you for your kind words, Grant. Donnie, I love Creatures of Condition. Absolutely fantastic band, and Donnie, I'm very, very proud of what you do. I really, really am. Nick, please, again, and believe me, Mike, there is a plethora of artists watching here today. Nick Plews is out of the band, the Heartland Roots band, coming out of the UK.
Those guys are awesome, by the way.
They are. They really, really are, and believe me,
I like them a lot.
They're charting here at Galaxy. Brad Rayner is watching as well, and also Mike Gill. Now, Mike Gill is lead singer for the band Libsay, and they've been around. These guys are so good. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So believe me, joining us. Oh yeah, new material coming shortly from the Creatures of Condition. Thank you, Donnie. It's nice to get that in. And Greg and the Slugs, good, bad. Yep, Donnie says.
Great. Oh, Doug and the Slugs.
Doug and the Slugs, sorry. Yeah, absolutely. Love them.
Yeah.
So you guys have got something in common.
Yes.
That's cool. That is very, very cool. Literally, before you know it, you're going to be sending emails to each other and texting each other.
It's a small world, Grant.
It is. It gets smaller every day. It gets smaller every day, literally. And in fact, we're with... Have you ever heard of Rise Up TV?
I have. I think I've heard of it, yeah. That's a noise production?
Well, actually, it's a TV company, but they also have big records, and they're with Sony Music, stuff like that. What they do, literally, is they have this huge bus, right? And they go along, pick up some artists, go and put them on stage, but they're also a TV company. So, well, let me put it this way. Whatever used to be on the road stayed on the road. But not with the TV company anymore. You believe me, it's all about the drama. It really is. Tim Steinreich is involved with them as well. He's from the band The Mighty One. And just recently they've been travelling around. And literally they're in the UK right now. They were in Paris, France the other day. The Rise Up TV company literally is working its way down here to New Zealand. And doing different countries as they go, including Papua New Guinea, India, places like that. They're going to end their whole deal, I think, in Cambodia. So it's quite an involved thing. Nick Plews is good friends with Rise Up TV and with also Sony Music and everything like that, with, of course, with the record label. And he was going to go and meet them the other day. I think he got turned around because he had a show to do. You know what I mean? You're on your way to go and meet these guys from Canada on the motorway, and then suddenly you get a phone call, no, we've got to go and do a show. What do? Do you stop and turn around? Or do you say, well, you know, can we do a show again later? This is international television. What do? That was a hard one. I personally would have kept on going. It fell in for me. Anyway, better get back on the road. Here is Traveling Bug. How you feeling, dude? You okay?
Oh, I'm doing great. Yeah, this is great. I mean, I think the numbers that you were throwing at me kind of stunned me a little bit there.
Yep.
About all the stations and the listeners and all of that. So
Only one station.
yeah. Oh, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
all the different countries. Yeah.
We don't do what a lot of them do with hooking with 101 different radio stations. And the bonus too is that we're actually live. We're not a podcast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The problem with a podcast is it's always so perfect because you can take time over a week or so and make it a perfect show. You know
Make
what I
it
mean?
perfect. Who wants perfect? I don't want perfect.
Yeah, well, you know,
If
unfortunately...
I'm going to bomb, I want it to go live out on the air and bomb it.
Exactly. And believe me, it's a challenge for me not to do the same thing. Nick Please says, thank you so much. Mutual respect from the Heartland Roots Band. Nick, we love
Man, I know, I love those guys. I love them. Yeah.
Oh, you better hook up with each other.
you. Yeah, Barbara says you better hook up.
We did.
You did?
Oh,
We
cool.
did. Barb actually hooked us up. Actually, I had hooked myself up with Nick, and then Barb said, I'll hook you up. So then she reintroduced us. We had already kind of been chatting, I think,
dear.
on Facebook by that time.
Nick's a great guy. Nick is a great guy. Same with everybody out of the band. I love them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
I like the sound is really good. Really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know much about New Zealand?
I don't.
Okay,
I know a little bit.
We'll go down that road because we do have a band question for you, if you know what I mean.
Oh, okay.
We'll go down that road. And believe me,
I've always wanted to go down under, Australia, New Zealand, and all that, but never made it.
you'll be surprised how many Americans think that we're part of Australia.
I know you're not part of Australia.
No, we're not criminals.
You're not a penal colony, right?
Well, no, that's how Australia started out.
It's
You know what I mean?
founded as-
They're never going to live that one down, especially with somebody like me, who tends to give them a bit of stick anyway.
Well,
But having said that, there's so much good talent coming out of
by the way,
Australia.
speaking of New Zealand,
Mhm.
I just ran across a great band out in New Zealand, one of my new favorites. They're called Zeus the Temple.
Okay, yep,
You know them?
heard of them. Don't know them, but I have heard of them.
They just released an album called Rise, R-I-S-E,
Okay,
and it's fabulous.
all right.
If you like Pink Floyd, Genesis, a little bit of Deep Purple, kind of influencing
Nice.
stuff, you
Well,
gotta listen to those
My
guys.
producer is writing that down as we speak. Let's go back to the desk.
Sounds good.
Galaxy FM.
Now, Mike, I love the name of the band. Of course, we're talking about Animal Souls, but Wisdom of Clouds, you've got this fascination with very strange titles. Tell me, how did you come to Wisdom of Clouds?
That's a good one. I'm trying to remember the name of the author who I actually stole that from. I think we're friends on Twitter right now. But when I was recording the album, I think I mentioned that I had, I think on the album there's like 22 different players, including myself. And just sort of the, sort of my producer ethic was, here's kind of how the song goes. These are the chords. I want to try to keep it, somewhat within those boundaries, but you're free to kind of express yourself however you want to do. Whether it was guitar or vocals or keyboards or drums, whatever the player was doing. And I just thought to myself, I got to come up with a good name for this album. And I had just been, I think I was on the internet one night looking at some stuff, and I came across this title of a book. I'll probably have to look up the author's name now because I can't remember it, but I actually sent out a Twitter post one night, and I tagged the author in the post, and it was just essentially, hey, maybe you guys want to go check out this album that I recorded and released in 2021. It's called Wisdom of Crowds, and I took the title from this fellow's book. So I tagged him in the post, and he liked my post, and I was so thrilled that he actually liked my post because I stole the title from him.
Well,
but the Wisdom of Crowds is basically kind of a wordplay of, I couldn't have done this by myself. I needed help from all my friends, and through their wisdom, I was able to put this album together. So it was kind of like a thank you in a way. So
well,
there you go.
an homage. I get it. I really do.
Yeah.
But believe me, love the name. I really, really do. And I thought, this man's a genius. Not only Animal Souls, Wisdom and Crowds. What else is he going to come up with? Look at the quality of the work that's coming out. Jay Ploch is watching as well. Nice to have you on board, Jay. It really, really is. Now, at the same time, I do have a young lady coming out of Charlotte. And she's asking, do you know much about New Zealand? You seem to have mentioned New Zealand a couple of times through the interview, so is there much knowledge about New Zealand?
Not really. I mean, just from what I learned in school. I do know some people that have traveled down to New Zealand and absolutely loved it and told great stories about how beautiful it is down there. I mentioned that I've come across this great band that I've just discovered out of New Zealand called Zeus the Temple, but outside of that, I don't really have much insight other than I'd love to go.
Well, let me tell you, and believe me, most people, when I say, do you know much about New Zealand, they go, oh yeah, we saw Lord of the Rings, which is true. They do. You'd be surprised. But we're made up of 3 islands. Now, right down the very, very bottom of New Zealand, there's a tiny little island called Stewart. And it's the only island that actually got a name. Because the other 2, well, whoever named New Zealand ran out of imagination past Stewart. They couldn't think of anything, so they called the next one South
Island.
And then there's, of course, following that, you got to have North, right?
Okay.
So that's pretty much New Zealand is of a whole 3 islands. We're on the east coast of the North Island, and we're the first to see the light of day every day.
Okay. I'm actually looking at a map of New Zealand right now as we speak.
Now, you might see that West Island over the other side there. That's Australia.
No, I'm just looking at New Zealand, not that other one.
Oh, good. You don't want to look at that other one, believe me.
No, I'm not looking at that other one.
That other one, honestly, that's conflicted right now. It really is. Parliament over there don't know what to do. All of a sudden, of course, with the demise of the monarchy, with the Queen passing away, now there's a particular state of Australia that is just completely up in arms. Literally, are we going to call it Kingsland now?
Kingsland?
Yeah, because right now it's called Queensland.
Because of Charles, yeah.
They want to change the name from Queensland to Kingsland. That's no good to me, literally, because, I make fun of Australians all the time, and in Queensland, that's the place where all the men that wear dresses, high heels and handbags, drive fast in women's clothing, call it drag racing. You can see where I'm going with this. I can really give them a bit of stick. But, what am I going to do if they call it Kingsland?
I don't know. I don't think I like that idea at all.
No, it means...
I think there's something to be said about preserving history and historical, things, names, places, people.
Absolutely. It's like if we renamed Queen Street in Auckland to King Street. It just wouldn't work. In fact, I think we have a King Street in Auckland anyway, so, you'd get a complex about it. At the same time, would you consider maybe coming to Aotearoa and playing in front of New Zealand audiences?
Would I consider that?
Yeah, bringing Animal Souls here?
I would absolutely consider it. That would be kind of a trip of a lifetime.
We would love to have you down here in the Antipodes and literally doing a few shows, maybe about 4 or 5 shows up and down the country.
If I could figure out a way to get 30 people on the stage, I would do it.
Very cool. I tell you what.
But I think it's interesting that you bring it up. I won't go on too much about it, but that is one of the things that I have been thinking about as I've been recording all of this is how am I going to put this into a live setting someday? And I think through all the recordings that I've done and just my interactions with the players, I think I do have a pretty good idea of a few core players that I'd like to play with, because I can't get everybody that's played on the albums to get on stage with me, but I think there's a decent core of players that I would like to work with. Yeah, that would be kind of the next dream come true, is to actually get this up on stage and do it live. So.
Well, I got to be honest with you, Michael. We would love to have your quality band here in New Zealand playing on New Zealand stages in front of New Zealand audiences. Would just absolutely eat it up. But
that'd be thrilling.
Having said that, talking of Queensland, we have a little place down the South Island called Queenstown. Now, this is a little boutique town come wannabe city where all the A-listers prior to the pandemic used to go and hide and get away from the paparazzi. It's the place where you take the significant other rather than the wife. Okay. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Literally, it's a bit of fun. It really is. Literally, prior to the pandemic, Kevin Costner was down there. Keanu Reeves was down there. Tom Cruise. The A-listers were all down there. In fact, Shania Twain owns property down there.
Oh, she does, eh? Well.
So you don't know who you're going to bump into at any given time. But I've got to be honest with you, Mike. You don't want to bump into me.
Why's that, Grant?
I'll throw you off a bridge. We have a thing down there. The guy who invented and brought to the New Zealand the bungee jump is down there. He's a good friend of mine.
Okay, yeah. I won't go near that.
Well, we could always swing you out over the cabins, anything like that.
No.
No, more.
I'd be that one guy that the cord would break.
Well, I'd do it with you. How's that?
I don't think so.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. What about jet boats? Do you like jet boats?
What do I like?
Do you like jet boats?
Oh, jet boats. Yeah, I don't have much experience on them. I like watching them. Okay. I like watching people wipe out on them. There you go.
Well, down in the same place, there's a place called the Shotover River, and they have these huge, big jet boats, and what they can't do with those is ridiculous. In fact, I was saying to one guy, they turn them inside out, upside down, wall to wall, and believe me, there's some pretty big walls in this river at high speeds. They do all sorts of things. But I said to this one guy, they can do so much, and they can guarantee you won't spill your beer. He says, how do you guarantee that? I says, we're social, we're civilized, we have lids.
That's pretty good. That reminds me of a story once. I was carrying a big speaker cabinet of some kind, very expensive cabinet, and I was walking across a strip of pavement, and I didn't see that there was a kind of a hole in the ground. So one of my legs kind of went straight down the hole. I could have broken my leg or my back, but there I was, standing with my foot in the hole, still holding on to this very expensive speaker cabinet. I didn't drop it.
Yeah, believe me, I can relate to that. Literally, I really can. I've had a few incidences over the years myself, and all equipment survived. Not one piece got hurt, literally. There was no harm in the making of the building either. Literally.
I think I tore my leg up pretty good though, but the cab was good.
I was going to ask about that, literally, because that, believe me, dangerous, absolutely dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
True confessions.
Oh.
Okay. You may give me all your true confessions anytime you want.
Yeah, the song, the thing about my songs is sometimes I'm not writing about myself. Sometimes I am. Most of the time I'm not. I'm kind of a people watcher, observer, and I take things in. And I don't really write about current events either. I'm not kind of that thing. I'm more of a kind of a, what's going on inside people's minds. What are they thinking about? What are they feeling? And just from my observations, I can kind of get an idea of what they're thinking or feeling. True confessions, is one of those songs where I think, it kind of speaks to, let's say, you're walking around and I'm not going to say that you're filled with guilt, but you have some kind of feeling inside. Maybe you feel you don't deserve to be happy, or, you feel like suffering might be the road to recovery, to get out of some kind of funk that you're in. So True Confessions was really speaking to, you don't really have to deal with that inner, don't beat yourself up, right? Just be true to yourself, true who you are, and maybe things will be okay. So it was kind of, the song was kind of bent in that direction a little bit.
Mike, the sun always rises.
Yeah,
It really does. It's just how you deal with it, literally.
That's right. Right.
You're right here at Galaxy. Joining, of course, Mike Fisher from, we beat that. The temperature, sorry, Barbara's going on about the temperature. You're right here at Galaxy with Animal Souls, Mike Fisher and True Confessions.
That's really cool that you're playing this one, Brad.
Believe me, bro, production puts it all together for me. I just get the good stuff. I get to talk to you, you know what I mean?
It's kind of cool. The song was kind of an outlier on that album, somewhat, a little bit. It was brand new. Like I was saying, a lot of those songs are from years and years ago. But True Confessions was from like a fresh batch of songs that I wrote in the last 2 years, and like I was kind of intimating that I don't really write about my own experiences or myself necessarily. This one maybe is a little bit about myself. So maybe I didn't say that right, but I think that's kind of where it is. I tend to beat myself up a lot,
Well, believe me, bro, I think you're not the only person in the world. As I say, I talk to so many artists from around the world on a daily basis. You're not alone in this. Believe me, you're not.
I listen to my music and I go, some days I wake up and I go, this is just shit. What are you doing?
I get that too.
And then other days it's like, I can do no wrong. So it's funny the way it goes.
Well, here's one for you, and I'm a little apprehensive about this, is that we have a live show coming in very, very shortly, and I'm gearing up because I've got to do DJing and host the thing and get bands on and off the stage while they're doing it and stuff like this. So we've got to treat it like music in between the bands and stuff like that, all that sort of stuff. I do a lot of mashups.
Okay, yeah.
I really do a lot of mashups, and I'm, not bad. So today I've got to put it before Barbara, who's going to put it before the board for scrutiny to see if we can actually use this live in doing a show. So after we talk to you, I've got to play this. There's about an hour and a half's worth of music that I've got to submit.
Oh, wow.
So
yeah.
We'll see what happens. So believe me, I'm right there with you.
That takes a certain kind of skill to do that kind of stuff. I don't know that I have something like that in me to put a mashup together.
Well,
that's not easy.
Not only was I a radio announcer for many, many years, I was also a nightclub DJ.
Oh, okay.
And I learned very quickly.
Yeah. That's not a real saxophone on that song either, by the way.
Okay.
That's a guitar synth on there. It sounds like a saxophone.
Yeah. Okay. That's right, you're right here at Galaxy 107 FM, and I'm absolutely loving this interview today. I really, really am. We're talking to Mike Fisher from the band Animal Souls, and believe me, you're going to love these guys. They're coming out of Abbotsford. Now, I did mention to you earlier on, I wanted to talk to you about Anika. Now, fill me in about Anika. How did you meet Anika?
I met Anika through my co-producer who I was talking about, Pete Cordalis at Green Room Studios. So Anika's been, I think she's 23, 24 years old now, but she's been singing, I think, since she was like 12 or 13 years old, and sort of singing with people that other musicians and groups that I know around here. And Annika and Pete have been doing kind of a duo thing. He plays guitar, acoustic. Sometimes she plays acoustic with it, or she gets on the cajon, the beatbox, and they do these duo gigs. And playing some covers and some really interesting cover songs. But Pete and Annika also play in like a full-blown 5-piece band, and kind of a country rock sort of vibe to what they play. Anyways, so Pete and I have been working on these tracks, and Midnight Sky is another one of those songs that I wrote a long time ago. I had music for it, but I had no lyrics. And I had heard Annika singing on some other stuff, and I just absolutely loved her voice and thought, I've got to get Annika in on one of these songs. And so through Pete, I approached Annika and had Annika come down to the studio one night and listen to the track, because Pete and I had almost finished the musical part of it. And she loved it, and took it home and wrote the lyrics, and within a week or two she came back in. We recorded the vocals with her, and Mara, who sang on Lessons of Love, is actually the background vocalist on Midnight Sky as well too. So hopefully that's the first of a few more tracks that I'll be doing with Annika in the future. Yeah. Just a wonderful singer.
We want to talk about Midnight Sky very, very shortly. We're going to play it up after the very next track.
Oh, okay.
But at the same time, you were talking about a guy who has a really special building and a very special room in there. Let me tell you something. This might be amusing to you. Way back in the day, before Radio New Zealand and Talkback New Zealand are in the building they were in, they used to be in this pokey little building. Believe me, it really was pokey. And when we very first started to look at tearing down that building and moving into the new one, across the road there just happened to be a district court being built. Now, we were down a level and the road was up a little bit higher, so they'd built this stairway deal, and they bored a hole in it and put a public toilet in there. Believe me. Now, the only reason why I found this was we'd literally, I never knew it was there all the time that I worked for Radio New Zealand and Talkback. Literally, I had no idea. Just used to go and park my car, go to work. You know what I mean? Come out, drive away.
Yeah.
But my brother had to go to the district court one day, and he says, "Will you join me? I need somebody to hold my hand," basically. And I went, "Yeah, okay, bro, no worries." And so I come out of the building, and I look at the district court, and I got to go up these stairs, and I'm looking at this. Now, this was a shady kind of deal with this public toilet. I've got to be honest with you, back in the day, there used to be some dubious men hanging around this place at night time. But on the way to meet my brother, who was standing outside the court, I thought, geez, I'm busting. I better go to the toilet. So I went in there, and I'm whistling away to myself, and I'm thinking, the acoustics are pretty good in here. Got buses driving over top of you. You couldn't hear a damn thing.
Yeah.
But the acoustics in there were amazing. We actually did an album in there with a band. We locked it off. Literally, nobody could get in there. And we had one of New Zealand's more famous bands back in the day that weren't known of. And we literally recorded this album in this public toilet. And the acoustics was perfect. I couldn't have got it any better. It just, that sound, if you know what I mean, with tile everywhere around you, was just awesome. And we used it and ate it up, literally, and nobody ever knew that it was out of a dodgy toilet. It really wasn't.
Big drum sounds, all bad, eh?
Oh, it was big enough to be able to get a whole band in there with all the gear and all my gear as well, if you know what I mean. It was huge, but the acoustics in there was just sublime. It really was. And it was all because my brother was going to go to, court and stand in front of a judge and say, yes, I'm guilty of doing whatever he did. Can't remember that. But it was just the fact that I needed to go to the toilet, and I was whistling at the time. I thought, just one of those things.
How do I listen to that?
Well, actually, to be very, As soon as you mentioned about your friend's room, it was the same reaction I know of a place. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay, yeah.
I don't actually know whether the toilets are still there, actually, to be
No,
honest.
how do I listen to the record?
Oh, okay. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll get Barbara to
Let her tell me. Yeah.
give you all the details. I'll have to sort it out for you, literally, because it is one from way back in the day.
I have to listen to it now.
Fantastic. It really was. In fact, I think it was my cousin's band, The Fearless.
Oh.
There you go. It was too. James Reed, who is my cousin, who lives down the South Island now. That's where I was brought up, by the way, down the South Island. He had a very famous band here in New Zealand, still very famous, The Fearless, and, well, they're not doing what they used to do about 20 years ago, but believe me, you know, James is still a very talented man in his own rights.
Are they still writing and recording and all that? Or?
I don't know. I haven't spoken to my cousin in about 20 years, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
I think it was something to do with the album. Something to do with the album, James. I never got this stuff. Maybe that's why I don't talk to my cousin anymore. Never know.
That reminds me of a story about Zeppelin recording, I think it was the fourth album at Page's place, and they walked into was it called Grangeley Manor? I can't remember the name of it. But they walked in through the front door in the big foyer, front room, and John Bonham said, "This is where we're doing the drums." It was one of those tall ceiling deals, right?
Absolutely.
And I think, listen to the song "When the Levee Breaks" on Zeppelin 4, and that big sound. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Anyways, yeah. So yeah, Pete's got a pretty good sounding room in his place too. I like it.
Love it. And believe me, I appreciate a good room. You know, as an engineer, you would understand what I'm saying. I appreciate a good room. But yet again, it could be the same thing all over. You never know. Tell me about the same thing all over.
I actually have a story about that song. My wife and I, I recorded the demo. I had that story previously about the apartment in Vancouver, did the demo at the apartment. This is another one from that batch. And I needed somebody to do some backup vocals on it, and I needed a female voice, so I asked my wife if she would do it, and she refused to do it unless I got her drunk, so I had to get her drunk to do the backup vocals on the original demo for that song. And we did the backups in the bathroom, speaking of acoustics. I was in the bathroom one night and talking to myself or doing something, and I'm like, okay, I have to record some vocals in this bathroom, so that's what we did.
You see what I mean? You get it, literally. You'd be surprised how many people don't get it, really. But it's all about the sound and that little special something that you can pick up on. You go, yeah, I get this. I can do something with this. Believe me, that's what this particular public convenience was all about, literally. So let me play this because, believe me, people are loving this track. I've got to let you know, 1,782 requests for same thing all over today.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not. And believe me, you're going to be fascinated with Midnight Sky. So you're right here at Galaxy. Here, joining us is Michael Fisher from the band Animal Souls and Same Thing all over.
Wow.
No, true deal.
I can't. Yeah, I'm stunned with those kind of numbers. I really am.
As I said, we're global. You know what I mean? People from around the world contact us. They want to know more about it. When we first started playing a lot of your music, we didn't actually say a lot to anybody. We just started playing it. Okay? It's like dipping your toe in the water, see what the reaction is. You got me? Blew up our internet. Literally. People wanted to know who, what, when, where, how.
Oh my God.
When we're doing the interview, the whole enchilada.
Oh my God, yeah. I'm kind of beside myself. I mean, I think it's good, but I didn't think anybody else thought it was that good.
As I said, you're like me. You know, for me, I'm my own worst critic. I think it's never finished, and B, I don't know that anybody else would appreciate it or like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. One of the sort of the self-doubts I have about my music, I'll just say this because I think I should, is that I don't really fall into like one genre, like, and I think it makes it difficult for me to kind of market and promote it because I can't really, zero in on, some sort of vibe about the music because some of it's kind of folky. Same Thing All Over is like a total rock out song, right?
Yep. I think that's why people are identifying with the Same Thing All Over. You know,
I like it. Yeah, I mean, it's just that my music's kind of all over the place, so it makes it difficult for me to talk about it in a focused way because it's all different, right? So.
Well, bro, the thing is, and this is what I like about it is it's all different.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
I hear genres every day.
Mm-hmm,
I like something a little out of the box. And I don't know whether you can appreciate me telling you that or not, but I do.
I actually do appreciate that because that's kind of the stuff I like to hear. That it kind of reinforces my idea because that was my whole plan was not to be one thing, is to be just
Gotcha.
whatever happens.
Gotcha. Anyway, let's get back to the disc, right?
Cool. Thank you.
That's right, you're right here at Galaxy 107 FM, so very, very happy to have you on board. Irie Preston's joining us, nice to have you on board. Love to the Box Girls too, by the way, Irie, really, really love that. And looking forward to new music out of you as well, very, very shortly. Now, Mike, I got to let you know, this caught me, it really did. And I want to read this out, verbatim. Thank you to all my musical mates who brought these songs to life, and a very special thanks to Scott and Marianne Boys who made it all possible for their tireless support of music and the arts in the Fraser Valley. I like that. Tell me about this.
Scott and Marianne are two of the most amazing people you would ever want to meet in your life. So Scott and Marianne have this really super property here in the Fraser Valley. One of the buildings on the property is a self-contained production rehearsal space, and that's where all the bands come in that I was mentioning that come in to rehearse, and that's where I recorded the whole album. Scott used to charge bands a case of beer to come in and basically have the whole night to themselves. So it's like a full stage with backline, all the equipment. All you basically have to do is show up with your guitarist, and you can spend the night making music in the studio. And so Scott never actually charged money for bands to come in and play there. He would just say, "Bring a case of Bud, and you're good." Right?
How did he survive at that?
He does okay. He's got his own electrical contracting company, but to this day, he still, you go to any rehearsal studio and you're going to pay by the hour, right? And so if you go in with your band and you want to rehearse a set, you're going to be there for a good 3-4 hours. It's going to cost you $100, $120, maybe even more, right?
Easily.
For that time. Scott's like $30. It doesn't matter how long you're there. If you're there for 2 hours, you're there for 6 hours, it's $30 on the nose. And there have been so many bands and artists that have come through Scott's studio. And for Scott, it's really not about the money. It's not even about running a business. In fact, he doesn't advertise the studio. You basically know somebody who knows Scott, or you know somebody who knows a band that rehearses at Scott's place, and they put in a good word for you, and you're in, right? But Scott, I guess, gets his reward from knowing that bands are getting better, they're improving, they're making progress, they're getting out in the world. Carly Rae Jepsen actually recorded at Scott's studio at one time back in the day.
Very, very cool. You know something? That reminds me of a guy in Auckland. His name was Terry Arnold, and he had his own recording studios, his own band practice rooms, everything all lined up, the whole deal. The only way to be able to get involved in that was to flag him down in his ambulance. If you saw his ambulance go by, you knew who he was, literally. You flag him down and say, can we use your room? His was pretty much a couple of cases of beer and maybe a few, green leafy kind of things, all that sort of stuff. No money was mentioned, literally, and then of course they would come over to our studios and we'd record them afterwards once they've done their practice, you know what I mean? So, so similar sort of story. It's very, very, Mike, I think you and I have lived a similar sort of life.
Probably, yeah.
I'm only 21, but this is what engineering does to you, right?
Well, I'm 22.
There you go. I get it. Nicholas says recording in a toilet is great. Just do the flow. Did we use any pan pipes? Believe me, Nick, the only pipes we used were not pan. Literally. Now, I've got to be honest with you, Michael. This is one track that we can't get away from on The Breakfast Show. We get so many requests for this, and believe me, it's been a stable diet of the Breakfast Show here at Galaxy for the last couple of weeks. I've got to be straight up. Midnight Sky is just creaming it right now. 3,699 requests, my friend. Why is it so successful? Tell me about this.
You're kidding me. 3,600?
And
I'm writing that down because I'll forget that number. 3699.
Believe me. Why is it so successful?
It's a good question. The song actually took longer to produce than I usually like. It actually took about 3-4 months from start to finish. And I think the reason was I had this original demo. It was more of a kind of a guitar-oriented song. As I was getting ready to record it, I was talking with Pete, my co-producer, and I'm like, Pete, I really want to try something different with this song. I want to, I don't know if modernize it is the right word, but I just want to kind of bring it up to some different level from what it was. So I wanted to use things like more synthesizer, more keyboards, more interesting sort of breaks and bridges and transitions in the song. So it took a while to put that all together, and I think the reason maybe why it's resonating, obviously, primarily it's because of Annika. Her voice is just outstanding.
Now she co-wrote this with you, didn't she?
She wrote the lyrics. Yeah, she did. Yeah, because all I had was the music, and I struggled. I be honest, I couldn't come up with any lyrics, and which is really unusual for me. But I think I realized one day that if I don't get somebody to help me, this is never going to get finished because it was already 3 months in by this point. So that's when Annika came on board and wrote the lyrics. So I think it's resonating just the way the words flow out of her so effortlessly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think her lyrics capture the vibe of the music perfectly. So yeah, I mean, there's some really I had fun with it. It took a while, but we had fun producing that one for sure.
Well, I got to be honest with you, Michael. 3,699 requests and climbing. I'm expecting that to go up by tomorrow morning. And I can see that is poised right now, literally, to become literally the hot pick of the week here at Galaxy, which is absolutely fantastic. 24, 98 cities now. Very cool. Very cool. Thank you. 2,498 cities are tuned in right now, I've just been told. So, this,
Oh my God.
this is connecting with the noise from around the world. Our fans, literally, and I don't really call them fans, I really call them our audio audience, they have found something in Midnight Sky that they can connect to, they can relate to, and they don't mind letting us know how much they like to hear it. So, without further ado, Michael, here is Animal Souls, and their number one track here at Galaxy is Midnight Sky.
Yeah, this was a how do I put this? This one took a while to put together. So I think maybe the reason it's people are liking it so much is because so much went into the song. Like it was hard work, you know, really, really hard work. So
I think there's something in there that people can identify to. You know what I
the
mean?
message is simple.
Yeah.
Her lyrics are, you know, like I just feel like a so small on this big globy thing called a spinning wheel, right? In fact, I actually wanted to call the song Spinning Wheel at one point.
Okay.
But we decided not to because of the David Clayton Thomas song, Spinning Wheel.
That was the first thing, as soon as you said spelling wheel, that came straight to my mind too. So, yeah, believe me, I get that, I do.
Yeah, yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, her vocals are so damn good.
I know.
You know,
Just,
when you see her, please tell her that, you know, she's got fans here in New Zealand that would do the damned world to try and get her to do more music. You know what I mean?
oh, she has her own thing too. I should send you some stuff from her
Please
other
do.
project.
Please do.
It's called Broadway Crush. It's more country stuff.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, she's got a writing partner, Jamie. I can't remember Jamie's last name, but they're putting out music under the name Broadway Crush right now.
Get her in touch with Barbara.
I will.
Please,
Yeah,
please.
Yeah.
We would love to be able to have a chat as well. Because honestly, as I say to you, Michael, as an engineer, and believe me, Mike, I have been around the world with some of the best and biggest bands in the world, and I've recorded and had the privilege of recording in some of the more prestigious recording studios around the world. I'm also a front of house, so you know I have worked with some very big bands. As I say to you, it's not often that I find a band that grabs my imagination. Animal Souls did that. First song, last song, all the way through. You know what I mean? That doesn't happen to me often. Really
I can't tell you, Grant, how much I appreciate you saying that. I really do.
I might get, you know, I might get interested in a band for a song, but not the quality that I was handed with this. This is fantastic work.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Because I take great pride in what I produce. I also take great pain in it. So I can't tell you how much stuff I've deleted that's ended up on the on the cutting room floor, so to speak, because we don't cut tape anymore these days, right? But
believe me, I go back to the days of 8-track and DAT and I really do, bro. I really do.
I really do take that compliment to heart, though. I do.
Michael, it's heartfelt and honest. Let's go back to the desk.
Thank you, sir.
Galaxy
24 minutes away from 1 o'clock, 23 degrees. Barbara and I both win the weather competition this morning. Weatherman didn't stand a chance at 17 degrees. We both knew that. It is Tuesday, October the 4th, and today we're talking to Michael Fisher from the band Animal Souls. And believe me, we're going to have to wrap this up right now. Unfortunately, Michael, I could talk to you forever. But just one more question for you. Are you looking at releasing any new music in the near future?
Yes, I'm actually going into the studio tonight to do a bass track for a brand new song called On My Way. Excuse me, which is it's another collaboration. So I have I'm co-writing this with a gal in the UK. Her name is Alison Cowie. She's with the band called Project Alice, and so Alison has written the lyrics already for the track, and I hope to have the music part of it done in the next 2 weeks. Send that to Alison, and then I'm thinking at least by the end of the year I'll have that single out.
How would you like to pass that on to Barbara? Get it to us.
Absolutely.
Tee up Alison at the same time. Let's do a combined thing. Let's talk about it, please. Because I'm very honest with you, Michael. Very, very excited with your work, and I'm very, very interested in following you and Animal Souls and the career of your music from this point onwards. If you don't mind, I'm going to be like an old pervert and keep an eye on you now.
I will gladly welcome that, Grant.
Very cool, very cool. And I got to be straight up with you, Michael. It has been an absolute pleasure to make your acquaintance, and I think we've got a kinship going on.
It's been an honor and a privilege, Grant, for me.
Brilliant. Hang in there for a minute. We're actually going to wrap this up right now, but don't go anywhere just yet because we're going to do a few things from backstage. Have you ever been a cartoon before?
Have I ever what?
Been a cartoon before?
No, I haven't.
Are you going to
Are you going to make me one?
Yeah, well, Barbara's going to anyway, believe me. And I'll let you know, you get a copy of everything that we do today, including photos. Barbara's going to make this into a movie and put it on YouTube a little later on. And at the same time, she's going to convert it into a cartoon as well. It's fantastic.
I've seen some of that work. Yeah, it's good.
It's one of the few things that makes me look good.
Yeah. I think I need it too, Grant.
Well, I've got a face for radio. Let's put it that way. You know what I mean? I told one guy, previous to doing the interview with you, I used to dodge television like crazy. When I'm working for Radio New Zealand, they wanted to get us into television. I ducked it like crazy. Then Barbara comes along. Now she makes fun of me. But it's fun. It is fun. Mike, hang in there, my friend. We're going to do a couple of new things. But got to say how happy we are to have you join us today. Thank you so much for joining us, and want to let you know, if you're going to watch it over on YouTube, don't forget, sub, thumb, bell. Bingo. You know what it's all about. You do. At the same time, let me tell you how happy we are to be in association with Rise Up TV, Big Records, and Sony Music, The Orchard, here with Galaxy.
Another indie artist interview brought to you by Galaxy 107 FM in association with Rise Up TV, Big Record, and Sony Music The Orchard.